Diogenes showed us that strength begins when a man needs less. He lived with nothing and still had more power than kings. But Aristotle would ask a harder question. How much less is enough? When does simplicity become another kind of slavery? Because you can throw away your possessions and still be ruled by your desire to appear free. You can leave the system and still crave its applause. That's the paradox. The man who escapes one chain often builds another out of pride. We all say we want freedom, but most of us don't want freedom itself. We want comfort disguised as freedom. We want to feel moral while still being validated by the world. Aristotle saw this trap long before modern psychology gave it a name. He understood that every human action aims toward something, an end, a purpose, a telos. And unless you define that purpose, you'll never know how much is enough. You'll keep chasing, earning, collecting, minimizing, optimizing, always moving, never resting. You'll measure your worth by the next goal, the next upgrade, the next comparison. That's why Aristotle refused to give the world a number, a rule, or a formula for success. He gave something much rarer, a method for judgment, a way to know what serves your purpose and what distracts you from it. Because if you don't know your telos, every dollar, every possession, every hour you gain becomes another chain around your neck. So before we ask how much is enough, we must ask the only question that matters. Enough for what? You work harder than ever, earn more than your father did, and yet the feeling never changes. The moment you reach one goal, another appears on the horizon. A new house, a better body, a higher salary. You tell yourself it's progress, but deep down, you know it's a treadmill. Modern life has replaced survival with comparison. You no longer hunt food, you hunt validation. The system doesn't want you to know when you've had enough, because not enough is the fuel of the economy. Every advertisement, every notification, every success story online whispers the same message. You are still behind. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. The rush you get from achievement fades faster each time. You adapt to the comfort you once dreamed of, and suddenly it feels normal, even boring. That's why the next purchase, the next milestone, never satisfies for long. Aristotle would say, this isn't just a social problem, it's a philosophical one, because when more becomes your compass, you lose sight of your purpose. The desire to have more becomes detached from the reason to have anything at all. You can see it everywhere. The man who earns 6 figures but can't sleep without checking the markets. The couple who buys peace through vacations because they can't stand silence at home. The worker who fears slowing down because rest feels like guilt. They all share the same disease, an undefined telos. They live without a clear end, so they keep feeding the means. Diogenes rejected it by owning nothing, but Aristotle offers a different cure. He doesn't tell you to abandon the world. He tells you to realign it, to put every possession, every desire, every action back under one purpose. Because if your goals aren't serving your telos, they're serving someone else's, and that's the quietest form of slavery. If this is your first time here, ThinkMate is where we question what others accept. That's the kind of mind we build this channel for. Subscribe if you want more. Now, back to it. Aristotle believed that nothing in nature exists without a purpose. Every seed aims to become a tree. Every tool aims to perform its function well, and man, too, has a purpose, a telos. But unlike the tree or the tool, our purpose isn't given by nature. It must be discovered through reason. That's why Aristotle called our unique function the ergon of man, the activity of the soul in accordance with reason. In other words, you were born not merely to live, but to live intelligently, to act with purpose and direction. This is where the question, how much is enough, begins to make sense, because enough is not a number. It's the point at which your material life supports your highest function instead of suffocating it. When Aristotle wrote the Nicomachean Ethics, He wasn't describing a rulebook for morality. He was outlining a system for flourishing, what he called Eudaimonia. The word doesn't mean pleasure. It means to live well, to perform your function fully. He said, happiness is the activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. Not in accordance with wealth or pleasure or comfort, but with virtue, which means excellence in fulfilling your purpose. Most people misunderstand happiness. They chase the feeling, not the function. They assume that feeling good must come first and that purpose will follow. Aristotle inverted that logic. He taught that the feeling of contentment comes only when your life is aligned with its purpose, when the parts of your existence serve the whole. So ask yourself, what is the function of your money, your work, your time? If these things are tools, what are they serving? If you cannot answer that, you don't own your life. It owns you. Aristotle separated goods into three types. The first are internal goods: virtue, wisdom, character. The second are bodily goods: health, vitality, physical strength. The third are external goods: wealth, friends, reputation. Each has its place, but only the first category defines the quality of a life. The rest merely support it. He warned that when external goods dominate, they corrupt the inner ones. Wealth without virtue becomes greed. Health without purpose becomes vanity. Friendship without truth becomes flattery. The hierarchy collapses and man becomes confused about what good even means. That's why Aristotle didn't condemn possessions. He condemned confusion. He believed that external goods are necessary, but only to the degree that they serve your telos. The danger begins when they start defining it. So when you ask, how much money do I need? Aristotle would respond, enough to act virtuously, enough to live without fear, without selling your integrity, without being distracted from your purpose. It's not poverty he recommends, it's proportion, a balanced relationship between what you own and what you're here to do. If you have more than you can use for your purpose, it becomes a weight. If you have less than you need to act freely, it becomes a chain. The goal isn't to reject the world like Diogenes, but to structure it, to make every part of it serve your reason. So write it down. One sentence. I want enough so that I can, fill in the blank. That is your first glimpse of your telos. Because Diogenes broke the system by destroying his needs, Aristotle transcended it by understanding them. One rejected the world to prove his strength. The other mastered the world to preserve his freedom. And if you can unite both, clarity of purpose and simplicity of means, you'll finally know what enough feels like. Aristotle never trusted extremes. He believed that every virtue lives somewhere between two errors. Courage sits between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity lies between greed and waste. Discipline balances indulgence and rigidity. To him, moral excellence was not about choosing one side. It was about standing in the center, where reason governs desire. He called this the doctrine of the mean, mesotes. Virtue, he said, is not an act. It's a habit of balance. The man who gives too little is stingy. The man who gives too much is foolish. The virtuous man gives enough in the right way at the right time. That's the secret behind enough. It isn't a number, and it isn't the same for everyone. It's a moving point that shifts with your life, your context, and your purpose. But Aristotle knew balance doesn't come naturally. Our instincts pull us toward excess, more money, more comfort, more validation. So he gave us a compass, Phronesis, practical wisdom. Phronesis is the ability to see the right action at the right time. It's not about abstract theories. It's about perception, about recognizing when a desire stops serving you and starts ruling you. Think of it as moral vision, a skill you refine through living consciously. A man with Phronesis can walk into a decision, business, relationship, ambition, and sense the invisible line between enough and too much. You can't learn it from a textbook. It's built from observation, experience, and honest self-examination. Aristotle called it the crown of the virtues because it guides all the others. So how do you practice it? Aristotle would tell you to slow down your decisions and examine them through 5 simple questions, his silent method for balance. First, the Telos check. Does this choice serve the purpose you defined earlier? If it doesn't, you're feeding the wrong beast. Every decision that ignores your Telos builds a life that belongs to someone else. Second, the consequence check. Will this strengthen my character or weaken it? Every action leaves a moral residue. You can gain profit and still lose integrity, and that is not success, it's decay. Third, the extremes check. Am I drifting toward excess or deficiency? Am I pushing too hard or playing too safe? The wise man notices when pride or fear begins to steer the wheel. Fourth, the context check. What is right for me right now? The mean shifts with circumstance. A king's generosity is not a worker's. A father's duty differs from a young man's freedom. The mean is always personal. Fifth, the reflection check. After the act, look back. Did it serve your telos or did it serve your ego? Did it bring peace or noise? Reflection is what turns experience into wisdom. These 5 steps aren't rules. They're ways of keeping reason in charge. Every time you apply them, you sharpen perception, the very muscle of freedom. Modern society celebrates precision. Aristotle celebrates proportion. The world wants you to measure success. Philosophy asks you to weigh it. There's a difference. Because the question isn't, do I have enough? The question is, am I in harmony with what I have? That harmony changes with age, with duty, with time. But the method stays the same. Use reason to balance desire. Use reflection to correct excess. That's Phronesis. To cultivate it, start small. Before every purchase, every commitment, every yes that costs time or energy, pause. Ask one of the 5 questions. Wait 24 hours. Write down what you felt. The goal isn't to deny pleasure, it's to master it. You'll begin to notice something subtle. The longer you practice, the clearer your sense of enough becomes. The noise quiets. The craving for more loses its grip. What remains is clarity. This is the discipline modern men have forgotten. We admire the bold, the extreme, the tireless, but Aristotle admired restraint. The man who could stop at the perfect moment, not because he was forced to, but because he understood why. The coward refuses to act. The reckless acts without thought. The courageous acts with judgment. Virtue, he said, is knowing where that middle line lies and having the strength to stay on it. The same rule governs money, ambition, love, and power. Too little, and you starve your potential. Too much, and you drown in it. The mean keeps you alive, alert, and free. And that's the deeper truth about enough. It's not poverty, it's mastery. It's the point where you possess things without being possessed by them. Aristotle's student once asked him, "How will I know when I have reached the mean?" He replied, "When you can stop, without regret, without pride, and without fear. That's the art of knowing when to stop." That's Phronesis, the wisdom that separates the man who lives well from the man who merely survives. Aristotle was not a monk. He never told men to abandon the world, only to master it. He understood that freedom is not the absence of possessions. It's the right relationship with them. You cannot live a virtuous life if you're starving, sick, or enslaved to debt. You need resources, but only to the degree that they serve your telos. In the Nicomachean Ethics, he acknowledged what most modern minimalists forget. External goods matter. Wealth, health, friendships, and reputation, these are not evils. They are the raw materials for action. Without them, you can't practice virtue. Without them, you become dependent, reactive, easily controlled. But Aristotle drew a line. He said these goods are means, not ends. Their value depends entirely on what you use them for. The man who seeks money to act freely uses wealth well. The man who seeks money to feel important becomes its servant. That's why he spoke of the band of sufficiency, a middle zone where you possess just enough to live freely and act wisely. Not luxury, not poverty, sufficiency. So what does that look like today? What does enough mean in a modern world built on excess? You can think of it through 4 pillars, 4 external foundations that support your inner life. First, runway. You need a financial buffer, a span of time in which you can act by reason, not fear. For some, that's 6 months of living expenses. For others, it's a simple, debt-free life. The amount doesn't matter. The freedom from panic does. Second, health. Aristotle called the body the servant of the soul. If it fails, your mind cannot perform its function. Enough health means strength and clarity, not perfection. It means movement, rest, and discipline. Third, relationships. We are political animals, he said, not in the modern sense of politics, but in our need for community. Friends, mentors, and family keep our reason honest. They reflect our telos back to us. You don't need many, just a few who demand your best self. Fourth, credibility. Your name, your craft, your integrity. Without it, your voice loses weight. Aristotle believed reputation is not vanity, it's influence. It allows you to participate in the polis, to shape the world according to virtue. Together, these 4 form your external base. Enough is when each is secure enough that you can think, choose, and act without fear. Notice how none of this is about abundance. It's about autonomy. Aristotle would warn you, when wealth begins to buy distraction instead of independence, you've crossed the line. Money is good when it expands your ability to act according to reason. It's poison when it feeds comparison and dependency. Imagine 2 men with the same income. One uses it to buy time, to read, to think, to rest, to mentor his son. The other spends it chasing comfort, new car, new gadget, new validation. Same income, 2 different lives. One man grows freer, the other grows emptier. That's Aristotle's point. The question isn't how much you own, but whether what you own still serves your telos. Here's a way to test it. A quick internal audit, the Aristotelian checklist for external goods. Ask yourself, does this purchase serve my purpose or distract from it? Will it cost me time for contemplation? Does it make me crave approval? Does it increase or decrease my independence? If I lost it tomorrow, would I lose myself? If the answer to any of these is yes, you're past the mean. Because Aristotle didn't preach minimalism, he preached mastery. He wanted you to possess only what allows you to live with excellence, to act without fear, and to think without pressure. Enough, in his language, was not a number. It was a condition of the soul, a state where external goods support internal virtue. When you reach that balance, you stop asking, how much do I have? And start asking, what is this for? That shift from quantity to purpose is the quiet revolution Aristotle wanted every man to live. Aristotle believed that the final mark of a free man is not how much he owns, but how much time he can afford to waste wisely. He used a word that almost no one remembers today, schole. It meant leisure, but not the kind spent scrolling or escaping. Schole was the sacred time reserved for reflection, study, and contemplation. It was, to Aristotle, the highest form of activity because it allowed man to exercise his reason without pressure or purpose other than truth itself. The modern world has killed schole. We glorify the busy, the productive, the constantly available. A man who rests feels guilty. A man who pauses feels left behind. But Aristotle saw rest as the foundation of freedom. Without time to think, you lose the ability to judge. Without judgment, you lose phronesis. And without phronesis, even success becomes chaos. He wrote that leisure is the basis of culture, because only in stillness can wisdom grow. The greatest ideas, the noblest acts, the most virtuous decisions, they all begin in silence. So if you want to know whether you are free, don't look at your bank account. Look at your calendar. Do you control your time, or does time control you? A wealthy man who cannot stop working is still a slave. A poor man who owns his mornings may be freer than a king. That's why Schole isn't laziness, it's discipline. The discipline to pause, to think, to ask what you are doing and why. Start small. Block 2 hours a week for thinking alone. No phone, no music, just you, a notebook. And the question, is my life serving my purpose? If you can't spare 2 hours for your mind, you're not free, you're busy being managed. This is Aristotle's final test of enough. You know you've reached it when you can afford time for thought without guilt, when you can sit in silence and not feel the need to prove anything, because money can buy pleasure, status, and even temporary peace. But Schole, the time to be fully human, is something no system can sell you. It must be protected deliberately every day. When you own your time, you own your mind. And when you own your mind, no one can own you. So what does Aristotle leave us with? A formula, not for wealth, not for success, but for freedom. Freedom, in his world, isn't the absence of limits. It's the mastery of them. It's knowing where to stop, knowing what serves your purpose and what distracts from it. For Aristotle, the answer to how much is enough was never a number. It was a structure, a living equation built from 5 parts. Telos. Know what your life is for, not what the world told you to want, but what your reason chooses to pursue. When you lose sight of that, every gain becomes noise. Virtue. Choose the mean, the middle path, where courage replaces fear and reason replaces impulse. Virtue is not sainthood, it's self-control in motion. Phronesis. Practice wisdom in decisions. Think, pause, adjust. Freedom isn't given, it's earned through judgment. External goods. Secure what's necessary for independence. Enough health, enough wealth, enough connection to act without fear. No more, no less. Schole. Protect your time, because reflection is the soil where every other virtue grows. That is Aristotle's formula for enough. When each part supports the next, you reach a state he called Eudaimonia, the flourishing of the soul. But knowing the formula isn't enough. You have to live it. So here's a simple test, a personal checklist Aristotle himself might have used before every decision. Does this choice serve my telos? Does it strengthen or weaken my character? Does it increase or reduce my independence? Will it give me more time for reflection or take it away? If I lost it, would I lose myself? If you can answer those honestly, you'll know where your enough lies. And if you want to begin living it, try this 7-day challenge. Day 1, write your telos in 1 clear sentence. Day 2, list the external goods you truly need to live it. Day 3, spend 24 hours without buying or seeking anything new. Day 4, block 2 hours of Schole, time for pure thought. Day 5, apply the Phronesis checklist to 1 major decision. Day 6, talk with someone who lives by reason, not impulse. Day 7, reflect, ask, what truly felt like enough? Because in the end, enough isn't a destination, it's a discipline, a daily practice of alignment between who you are and what you have. Aristotle said, happiness is the activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. That's his final word. Not happiness as pleasure, but as power, the power to act freely within the limits of your own wisdom. Enough is not about having less, it's about being undivided. And once you reach that point, you'll realize you were never missing anything. You were only distracted from yourself. Comment Telos if you've started defining yours. Subscribe for the next ThinkMate journey, where we keep uncovering what real freedom truly means. As Aristotle said, happiness is the activity of the soul in accordance with virtue. Find your measure, live by it, then fade into silence. If this made you see the world a little clearer, stay, think deeper. This is ThinkMate.